Sometimes I run, but then they pushed me to the point when I knew what was going on that they unleashed the tiger, or they unleashed the tigress. Hopefully someone listening to this that is a targeted individual, or I call myself a targeted survivor, will have the courage to start posting on their social media, their story, and what happened to them, because I knew I wasn't the only one.
Welcome to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Mosby. Join me as I dive into powerful stories of resilience and strength. In each episode, I sit down with guests who have faced similar journeys of coercive control, financial manipulation, and personal invasion. Together, we uncover the shadows, share our experiences, and inspire others to reclaim their lives. Tune in, listen, and be a part of the community that stands tall against the forces that seek to control us.
So I'm just going to come from the heart here and tell you what a targeted individual is from my perspective. So a targeted individual is where they try to systematically take you out. And I mean that from the aspect of you could be targeted for a multitude of reasons. And just because we are targeted individuals doesn't mean that we have to succumb to the harassment, including electronic harassment, gang stalking harassment, voice to skull harassment, also known as voice of God. Systematically taking someone out looks like someone speaking out against the establishment on Twitter, going against and saying, hey, Bill Gates, the WHO, the WEF don't have the right to dictate my health rights, kind of thing. And then bam, you could be a target. And so that's what happened in my situation. So it can be very innocuous at first, where your stuff is breaking down, your air conditioning unit, I had to repair that 3 times. They're overcharging you for that repair, even though it's a company that you've gone to before and were relatively reasonable at that time, but now are charging 10 times the amount to fix it. They can make your cars break down. They can make your furnace break down, your water heater go out. They had my garbage disposal go out, which I fixed by myself, and mess with the electricity in your home to cause dirty electricity so they can electronically harass you. So, which is what happened in my old condo, where I could see the black marks around the outlets and was like, I wonder what happened there. In hindsight, now when you look back and you start to piece together of whether or not you're a target, it all comes together quite nicely, unfortunately. So they will use the electronic or direct energy weaponry is what we refer to. So it could be a subliminal messaging, having you think certain things like to off yourself, for instance, get you to commit suicide by making you depressed. They can tell you subliminal messages to harm your animals, which they did to me. They can use the voice of God, also known as V2K, to have your deceased daughter talk to you, which is what they did to me. Now, some of you are thinking, how is this possible? If you are still some of those people that are unaware of the technology that they have today, and they have had it for an extremely long time, even before I was born, then you need to start looking and stop watching the zombie news, because if we can all become targeted individuals, who's next? It could be you and your family. So with that being said, I want to go into the gang stalking for a bit, because it's basically organized, and it can be organized from the police or the cops programs, community outreach programs. It can be brought on by the medical crisis outreach team. It can be brought on by drug recovery programs, where they try to get you to change your behavior and push you into submission, like the Synanon style programs like TOSA, which is where I was in Salt Lake City. And they can use church members to gang stalk you. And it's quite terrifying at first when you have a bunch of people surrounding you that shouldn't be at the store that particular day when everybody should be at work, and crowd you It's very obvious and very systematic and very planned. So they're having closed door meetings, talking about you, defying your character, and they know nothing about you. They just know what they're being told or being paid to harass you. So that's not very fun. Now, when I go into stores, I just ignore pretty much everybody, which isn't the way the human race was set up to be. Okay, we are meant to be a community. And the way that they divided us is through politics. So that's why they created the Democratic and Republic Party, is to divide and conquer. And they have been doing that forever, that we're aware of, forever. And so then that way you'll pick a side and it'll distract you from what they're really doing, which is very hard to wrap your head around. I get that, but people need to start waking up, and we need to start joining forces to dismantle this piece by piece, bit by bit. So when you ask AI something about what does a targeted individual look like, it's going to put in the word may. This individual may feel blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Well, AI lies, and there are no if, ands, mays, or buts about it. You know when you've been targeted. And so I would really urge people, instead of turning against the person that's telling you that this stuff is going on like a rabid dog, that you actually sit down and listen and have some compassion and some empathy for that person instead of calling them crazy or it doesn't exist. Because ultimately, I'm putting my life on the line, as is every other targeted individual out there speaking about this nefarious, sick and twisted program. Okay. So I want people to understand from the TI's perspective that it's not easy to have your whole inner circle wiped out from you, because that's what they did to me. Because part of the program is isolation. And if they can make everybody like turn against you and say she's crazy, don't believe her, she's suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, or she's suffering from paranoid delusions, or whatever they want to call it. That is not true. And they picked the people that were most intelligent for this beta test first. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I can convey things, I think, to people in a way that makes them understand that they should probably listen to what I'm saying and then go do some research on their own. Now, I noticed Substack lately, which is one of the platforms I was reliant on, has become a little bit infiltrated with not showing posts like they were. And so I'm not sure if it's because the owner of Substack went on the zombie news, and now, the CIA and the FBI have infiltrated that system too. I'm not sure. But we need to go to the platforms that we're allowed to speak on to get this message out to people. So on this one, I will be posting it in shorts on social media platforms, and it will also be available on my website, which they could take that down if they want, but hopefully they won't. And there are still some good men and women out there that are actually knowledgeable of this program, that aren't narcissistic, power hungry contrarians. So I want to talk about real estate mobbing and asset stripping. So as I stated before, they can bring someone into your home to give you a quote on whatever it is that's busted at this time. They can literally make you replace items or break items and make you replace them, like computers, any electronics. Many TIs have like 5 or more phones. I have 5 myself, because you get to this point where your privacy has been breached, and then you go into fight and flight mode, which is what I do. So sometimes I run, but then they pushed me to the point when I knew what was going on that they unleashed the tiger, or they unleashed the tigress. So if you're male or female, take your pick. Hopefully someone listening to this that is a targeted individual, or I call myself a targeted survivor, will have the courage to start posting on their social media, their story, and what happened to them. Because I knew I wasn't the only one. And thank goodness I had the mental fortitude and no longer the financial means. So, I'm sitting here to a bankruptcy attorney on Monday, and it is what it is. That's all that I can say. So that's another way that they'll try to get you financially ruined, is have you sign up for credit cards and then you have no money to pay for anything. You'll end up homeless and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And I don't really think that that's the way the world should work today. And I'm hoping to change that. So next week, I'm going through taking myself out of the sea and putting myself on the land from my natural birthright. And if you don't know what that is, you can look at Jordan Maxwell's videos where he talks about being part of the sea and being part of the land. And I am going to tell you how long it takes me to go through this process and how much money I need to spend to get my citizenship revoked from the United States American government incorporated, because they are a corporation that doesn't have jurisdiction. Well, they do have jurisdiction over you because they own your body and your body's a node and they're taking all of your privacy. So I'm going to revoke my citizenship and I'm going to go a different route. And I hope that a lot of you people start following me. Okay. So look for my post next week. I'm looking forward to talking more with you about how this other free, abundant land is going to look like. So stay strong. You've got this.
Thank you for listening to the Unveiling Shadows podcast. I hope today's episode has shed light on the experiences that too often remain hidden. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please reach out to me. Remember, you're not alone and your voice matters. Follow me on social media and subscribe to the podcast for more inspiring stories. Until next time, stay strong and keep unveiling the shadows.